this is a pretty fucked up story that I want to share with y'all that's going on in Brazil. We have a woman by the name of Erica Nunes who was arrested recently for suspicion of fraud after she brought her deceased uncle, or at least who she claims to be her uncle by the name of Paulo, who is 68 years old or was 68 years old, to a bank to sign a loan to take out 3,500 US dollars, or in Brazil, that's the equivalent of roughly $17,000. Now, we're going to go ahead and just read a little bit of the article so we can get the full rundown and the full ESPN breakdown on what was going on at the scene and what comes of it. And then later on, we're actually going to touch on the cause of death, because just today, they actually found out the cause of death, but the issue is they don't know which particular condition is what led to his death, which is pretty crazy. It's a little bit confusing, but we're going to get to that very shortly. Let's just get right into it. Apparently, there was a footage of this whole situation. It says here that the body was an elderly man of the woman identified as Erica Nunes tried to get to co-sign a loan. Nunes was captured on video standing next to a wheelchair in which the deceased person was sitting. She seemed to be upholding his head, which was drooping. Now, I'm going to show you a quick clip. I'm not going to show the whole thing because I'm not sure how YouTube is with their policies when it comes to displaying footages like this. But I'm just going to show a quick short one so you get an idea on what that looked like and why Nunes was getting a lot of side eyes.
Tio Paulo, Alfino, o senhor precisa assinar. Se o senhor não assinar, não tem como. Eu não posso assinar pelo senhor. O que eu posso fazer, eu faço. Segura, o senhor segura forte pra caramba a cadeira aí. Ele não segurou ali a porta?
Não vi.
Não,
A gente também não.
segura, tio. Assina pra não me dar mais dor de cabeça, tem que ir no cartório, pra não chegar. Eu não aguento mais.
Eu acho que ele não tá legal.
Sim.
Ele não tá bem, não.
Tá assistindo alguma coisa, mas ele não diz nada.
Eu acho que ele não tá bem, não.
A senhora tá sozinha?
Sim.
Ele não tá bem, não. Ó,
Mas
a
ele-
corzinha não tá ficando...
Mas ele é assim.
É.
Now, in that video, I think it was pretty scary when she asked the employees, like, did you see him holding on to, like, his wheelchair? And the employees stood there like, no, we didn't see him hold anything. He's literally just sitting on his wheelchair just like this. It's so weird. And she's just... I can't say she's pretending right now. It's just alleged, but it just looks like as if she's actually having like a conversation with someone who's just not responsive. But she doesn't fully acknowledge that he's dead. She's kind of like making it seem as if like, oh yeah, this is something he does all the time. Yeah, he took his meds and everything. When he takes his meds, he feels a little something and he starts like dozing off and everything. I'm trying to get him inside. There's nothing to see here. But there is something clearly wrong, and it was even worrisome when one of the bank tellers or the bank employees were saying, like, yeah, like, even down to his color is off. And usually when someone passes away, or at least for some time, their skin tone starts to grow very pale. Their skin tone starts to lose color. And that's what they're seeing, but for some reason, Erica doesn't see that, or she's failing to acknowledge that, or maybe she's just trying to get money real quick while she can, knowing that, you know, her uncle has passed away. So it's a pretty fucked up situation all around. As you can see here, she also asked for him to sign the financial documents. You kind of saw in the video that she had, like, I guess, like, his ID. She put it next to the couple documents. It says, like, oh, like, take the pen and you have to sign it. You gotta sign it. I'm tired of this. I'm not sure if she's, like, a caretaker of her uncle of some sort. But she kind of reminded me of that episode of SpongeBob when, you know, you had Squidward that was in a wheelchair and his body was in complete cast. And they were out on the jellyfish fields. And Patrick was trying to get Squidward to, like, hold, you know, the jellyfish net. But he kept saying, like, firmly grasp it. but Squidward couldn't do it, and then he's like firmly grasp it. Like, this is kind of what I'm seeing right now, but except, you know, Squidward is dead. And Patrick over here is not noticing that, or he's trying to pretend that he's not dead. It's pretty crazy. Nunez could be heard saying, "Uncle, are you listening? You need to sign the loan contract. If you don't sign, there's no way, because I can't sign for you. Sign so you don't give me any more headaches. I can't take it anymore." When the staff questioned what was going on, she reportedly attempted to explain the man's lack of movement and responsiveness. She said, "He is like that. He doesn't say anything. Uncle, do you want to go to the hospital again?" The staff is going to do what they're going to do when something doesn't look right or sound right. They're going to call the police. The police did arrive, and they kind of concluded that he's been dead for like hours. And of course they're going to arrest her because this is fraud. This is straight up fraud. You can't just bring a dead relative to a bank and have them co-sign a financial document just so you could get a loan out of them. You just can't do that. So of course the police is going to arrest her. But continuing on, we have the police that said she tried to pretend to get him to sign the loan. He already entered the bank dead. The main thing is to continue the investigation to identify other family members and find out more about this loan. But however, an attorney representing Nunez claimed that Braga, or Paulo, was still alive at the time. So the attorney for Nunez told O Globo the facts did not happen how they are narrated. Paulo arrived at the bank alive. I think that is absolutely crazy that they're going with this defense. To pull the card saying that, no, he was actually alive. And you know what? I could tell that they would do something like that because it's not like, it's not like the bank tellers actually took it upon themselves to check his pulse and say, yeah, there's no pulse. He's actually dead. No one did that. So no one, as a matter of fact, no one would go up to Paulo and see if he's dead or alive. So it's very difficult to tell if he's dead before he went to the bank or he was alive while he was going to the bank, something like that. It's still a crazy defense to just pull out. Like, you have all the cards in your hand and you decide to say, no, he was actually alive. And here's why. I just think it's really crazy. Testimonies exist which will be heard at the opportune moment. He began to feel sick after he had all these procedures. All of this will be clarified. We believe in the innocence of Senora Erica. Nunez may face charges of fraud or embezzlement as well as abuse of a corpse. That has to be one of the craziest combinations of charges I've ever heard. Yeah, we're gonna charge you for embezzlement or fraud and the abuse of a corpse. Like, that is so random. It's like, if you was to hear that out of context, if you didn't know anything about this story and you heard, yes, some woman named Erica Nunez is getting charged for fraud and abuse of a corpse, you're gonna be like, wait, what? Abuse of a what? Like, you kind of have to do a double take. Like, how do you abuse a corpse? And then you see something like this and you're like, there's no way. There's no way she brought a corpse to a bank. But according to her defense lawyers, it was alive. You know, Paulo was alive. It's like, how do you know? It's not like anyone checked his pulse before he checked in. Who's to say that people who are dead aren't allowed at banks? You know what I'm saying? Like, of course. So we can use this defense. I just think it's comical. It's really comical how they're going about this. So a news outlet in Brazil obtained an autopsy report which indicated that his death was caused by, please forgive me for mispronouncing this because I'm terrible with English, I will admit that, broncho aspiration and heart failure, and also found that he was malnourished. Bronchoaspiration is when food particles or gastric contents enter the lower airways, which can trigger infectious pneumonia. So I guess this is what people talk about when they say something along the lines of, like, you really need to stop inhaling your food. I guess because, yeah, if you get food particles that go into your airways, I think that's pretty bad. There should be nothing in your airways, and seems as if this is how he died, or at least, you know, the bronchoaspiration led to an infectious pneumonia, which most likely killed him. It continues on for the report to say that such data corroborates the necroscopic finding of malnutrition and bronchoaspiration. Previous heart disease found also contributed to the death event. The coroner's office is awaiting the results of additional tests to see if Paulo was poisoned. I think that's pretty interesting now. It's like, okay, we see a little bit of food particles in his lungs and everything, and we see some pneumonia, we see some damage in the lungs. But now we need to see if he was actually poisoned, because now that's a different ball game here. The Business Insiders report that an expert who signed the preliminary forensic analysis concluded there was not enough evidence to conclude whether Paulo died on his way to or inside the bank or had died before that. However, the autopsy did find blood clots in his neck, suggested he died lying down. That's a very interesting thing, and we can kind of understand why the lawyers defending Nunes was saying that, well, you guys don't know if he was dead before he went into the bank. He could have died on the spot when you guys were recording him, and you don't know that. I think this is where things get a little bit gray here, because, yeah, there's not enough evidence to prove if he was dead before the bank or if he was just dead on the spot while he was trying to sign the loan. But the fact that they have a camera, there's a longer footage out there, but from what I've heard, he was on his wheelchair the whole time. He was in a car, and Nunes, you know, I guess carried him onto a wheelchair. So he's been sitting up the whole time, and according to the autopsy, they found blood clots around like his neck, which implies that when he died laying down. And he wasn't laying down the whole time. Mind you, this camera's all over the bank. So as they're approaching from the outside and going into the bank, there is no indication that he was just like laying down. That doesn't sound right. Maybe that may prove to some degree that he died before he went to the bank and not after or during. It's just pretty crazy all around. Considering the circumstances, I think they think this is the best way to argue in her defense as to why she shouldn't be prosecuted for fraud or abuse of a corpse. But something really doesn't look right in this whole thing. There's something off about her. I don't know. You let me know what you think about it. This story is crazy. I just came across this. I saw this before, but I didn't really pay much attention. I was just endlessly scrolling through social media. But then I saw it again, and I'm like, oh, wait, that sounds crazy. So I just had to share it with you guys. And that's basically it. Peace.